And we're live. Welcome back, everyone, to the 7 Essentials to Transform Your Life with Melissa Melati and the fabulous Barun Gurain. I hope that you're having the most spectacular week so far. We are on, sadly, the 7th essential. I can't believe we have done 7 videos so far. Our little mini series that could, and it's been fabulous. We've been having so much fun that we actually decided to extend it, and we're going to have an 8th video come out next Friday at 3 p.m. And what we're going to do is kind of give you all an overview of this whole series. So don't be sad, we're not done yet. We had to just continue it a little bit longer because we're having so much fun. So on that note, I hope that you have been enjoying our 6-part series so far. And of course, today is the 7th part, the 7th essential, which is all about vibrant living. So, of course, as always, before we get into it, I'm going to go ahead and let Barun introduce himself. And I mean, doesn't really need to give you guys an introduction now, but of course, if you watch the other video series, but he's going to give us a little bit of an introduction as to what we have, discussed so far, what the other essentials are, in case you are just stumbling across this video and you haven't watched any of our previous videos as of yet, then you might be intrigued to go back and watch the full series. He's going to do that, and then he's going to introduce this essential today. So, Varun, take it away.
It has been an exciting journey so far. It's really great to get some good reviews so far.
Mm-hmm.
So I think before we get into today's episode, Vibrant Living, I think let's just recap what we have done so far. Now it's all coming to place, coming into being. So we started with number one essential, which is breathing life. Breathing life is all about maximizing our lung capacity through deep breathing. Number two, we talked about optimum hydration, which is all about getting the right kind of water for us, so that we are optimally hydrated. Number three is all about absorbing the cosmic energy, really all about getting sun's energy, the energy from the sun, from the earth, from the moon, from the planets. And then we talked about mindful eating, where we discussed the principles of eating, not the diet, the principles of eating, which is very important. And then we talked about the right action or activities, physical, mental, emotional. And in the last episode, we talked about how to eliminate the toxins that we build in our system because of the imbalances that we have in our day-to-day living. So we talked about these 6 essentials so far. And today we'll talk about vibrant living, which is probably all about bringing everything inwards now.
That's beautiful. Okay, I'm very excited for this chapter, everyone, because of course, throughout the other episodes, we've talked about how this chapter is very important and how, everything in life is about going within. And we are going to majorly touch on meditation in this episode. However, we're going to first start with a couple of topics that Broom does discuss in this chapter that I found fairly interesting. I may read a few quotes and whatnot just because I just really enjoyed some of these pages. So let's just first start off with talking about how important goal setting is for vibrant living. Actually, you know what? Let me rephrase that. First, let's just give a definition as to what vibrant living is, and then we'll go ahead and touch on the first sort of topic, which is goal setting.
Yes, so in terms of the definition of vibrant living, there can be many ways of actually explaining it. But I think in my personal opinion is it's a state of being where you elevate your energy levels through these essentials to a point where you break this cycle of misery, which we'll talk about a little bit. So by doing that, all of a sudden you increase your level of vibration in your system. You are actually operating at a very high energy level, which means that you are living in a resonance kind of a mode. So which is kind of a vibration. So when you live in that mode, all of a sudden the chattering of the mind stops completely, and you are in a state of vibrancy. So this is a state of being where you can actually connect with life the way it is.
Hmm.
Not lifestyle, not the way of living, but you actually connect with life. So this is what I call vibrant living. And I like to stop it there because there's so many things involved in there. But so this is actually a state of being for the time being, you know.
That's the perfect definition. I think
Yeah.
that that's perfect. And um yeah, okay, great. I had another thought, but I lost it. Okay, perfect. I think that's exactly what I would say it is as well. And I love that I didn't really even realize that as a whole when I was reflecting back. And did we talk about sunshine vibes in any of the episodes so far? Did we talk about that?
I
Like,
think we did mention that. Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
because the reason I called my sub series Lunchtime Sunshine, I called it that was because of this idea that I had about sunshine energy. And essentially, it's just energy that's vibrating on a high frequency, which is literally what we're talking about. So I just, yeah, as you're speaking, I went, oh, such a great definition. And also, I would say that's the same definition for sunshine vibes. So perfect. I
Yes.
love that we're finding even more alignment. It's great. Okay, so like Barun said, there are many different ways that you can help raise your frequency. And one of the first things that he actually discussed in this chapter is all about goal setting. So let's touch on that.
Yes, I think to be really successful in implementing these seven essentials and to bring these seven essentials into day-to-day living, it's very important to actually have goals.
Mm,
Without goals, it is very difficult sometimes to really know where you're going, and also very difficult sometimes to assess, and find out, what's the best way to go forward.
for sure.
So my suggestion will be to look at short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. The short-term goals could be, weekly goal. It could be just reading a chapter from a book or something like that.
Mhm.
And mid-term goal could be, say, learning how to do deep breathing, for example. It could be 3 months, 6 months, kind of. And a long-term goal could be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line, depending on what you think is long-term. It could be, learning a new skill set, or learning a new language, for example, Spanish or French, whatever. So I strongly feel that we should have a goal book, notebook, and we
Mhm.
should write down our goals. Actually, you should have to physically write down the goal because it has a tremendous impact on how you actually pursue them. So, short term goal, mid term goal, long term goal. And the important part of this is to actually have a review process. For example,
Mhm.
you said this week you want to read chapter one of 7i of this book. So, so that's your goal. And then after a week, you sit down and say, did I actually finish that book, that chapter or not? If not, why?
Mhm.
Maybe that, I was involved in other things, and, maybe I couldn't manage my time well. Maybe I was watching television, too many movies I watched. So idea is to assess exactly what went wrong. So
Mhm.
this is the process I feel is very important, where you review yourself and take the necessary actions so that next
Mhm.
time you do it better. And
Right.
the same thing applies for midterm as well, that after 3 months, you're supposed to learn deep breathing, assess, where you are and what actions you should be doing next time going forward. So I strongly feel that we should have like a notebook where you write down your goals and assess them on a very regular basis. Every week, you should have at least one assessment.
Mhm.
That way, you are completely focused, and any kind of corrections that you need to do, you do that instantly so that you don't waste too much time.
I love that. It's cool that you're saying this because that's actually something that I did this year, this for the first time. Usually I only will write yearly goals, but I realized last year that, man, no, I need to write monthly and quarterly goals
Yeah.
because otherwise you just sometimes will fall off track or you forget what you're aiming for. And I do agree. I think writing it out is so important. For some reason, I think when you write something out, you feel more inclined to actually go and achieve it as opposed to even just typing it out. It just doesn't, it's not the same thing. And I believe there are studies on that.
Yes.
I remember reading something about how writing out your goal is so beneficial. And essentially what you're saying is, goal setting, it will help raise your vibration because you are challenging yourself and working towards achieving something, and that will just overall make you feel better. I know, well, when I was in therapy, I remember my therapist actually, pointing to a lot of research in regards to people needing to constantly challenge themselves. And that's what
Mm.
makes you feel good. And I find it very interesting thinking about how our world is today and how everything just like everyone wants everything so easy. And there are things that are made now to make the process of doing anything really easy for us, which is interesting because it takes away the challenge, which we need to grow and to feel good. We need to feel a sense of accomplishment. And that certainly, I think, it is a contribution towards depression. If you're not constantly challenging
Yes.
yourself, you'll not feel like you've accomplished anything, and then you won't feel good. So I can see why that was the first thing that you put in this chapter, because certainly I just remember from being in therapy that this is something that is so highly recommended, is you have to try to set goals and challenges for yourself.
Absolutely. Otherwise, what happens is you get caught up in other people's agenda. If you don't
Mm,
have your own goal, the first thing you do is check your emails and WhatsApp and this and that, and you get lost completely. And
mm,
then all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, I haven't done anything today or this week or in this month, the last year, because you get trapped into other people's agenda. So if you really want to pursue your goals, your agenda, you really have to have goals. Otherwise, you will get caught with somebody else's goal.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you have no focus, and then you're
No.
just like a wandering soul looking for some entertainment, because the entertainment can come for you naturally if you have a challenge. Your life isn't boring if you're challenging yourself to learn a new skill, if you have a
Yes.
goal. So it's very interesting. Cool. Okay, wonderful. I kind of want to, like, after the stream, go and make sure that I've worked towards my goals this week and check that out. I think that's awesome. I love that you said that we should have an assessment. I think that's even daily. Would you
Yes.
say? I would say
Yeah,
daily.
I think I didn't mention daily, but I think daily is a better one,
Mm-hmm.
because as soon as before you go to bed, you just review, what you have done so far, what went wrong, what went right,
Mm-hmm.
and then you think about what needs to be done tomorrow, and you put that in and in your subconscious memory. So when you get up tomorrow morning, you are, you know definitely it helps you to actually move forward and get you excited to jump out of the bed.
Absolutely. I actually know exactly what you're talking about, because any time in the past that I have, like, taken my journal right before bed and written out, what I wanted to accomplish the next day, I actually have so much energy to get up and do it.
Yes, exactly.
Is that something studied? That's
Yes,
really interesting.
it is actually.
It is.
So if you're excited about life, if you know exactly what you're doing, you sleep less and you sleep well.
Hmm.
Otherwise, what happens is, and this is my experience, that say if I don't have any goal, I don't know what to do tomorrow, you just feel lazy, get out of the bed, you don't know what to do, get up, you feel like, oh, I do this, I do that, and all of a sudden the whole day is gone and you feel miserable. It
Mm,
has happened to me so many times in my early days. Not anymore. So I know exactly what I need to do tomorrow. So I think that's the reason that you
mm.
are excited, because you know exactly what you want to do, how you want to pursue your
Mm.
day, and so that's the way life should be actually. Yeah, excited all
Agreed.
the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Ooh, okay. Awesome. I love talking about this. Okay, so let's move on to the second topic in this chapter, which I also found really interesting. And I'm going to read a little quote before we start talking about it. So, the second topic that Barun touches on is adequate income and wealth building. Okay, so in his book, he says, whether we like it or not, we must have a sustainable income to satisfy our basic survival needs of food, shelter, and security. Once these basic necessities are met, the desire for higher needs, such as the ability to contribute, to make our life meaningful, and even to delve into unfolding the mystery of life, become possible. To support these needs, it is necessary to have adequate income and wealth in this modern world driven by the economy. Otherwise, the struggles of life could easily occupy us in mundane activities, and the fulfillment of our higher needs will elude us. So, the reason I felt very drawn to this quote and why I wanted to read it out is because it's very interesting. I certainly grew up with this narrative of follow your dreams, and which absolutely, don't get me wrong, definitely follow your dreams, but to an extent where you have to also make sure you're taking care of yourself. So, for example, my dreams are within the acting world. Obviously, I love entertaining, I love hosting, I want to be a performer. But if I can't take care of myself, I'm going to be miserable. If I'm struggling to pay my bills, I'm not going to have enough time to really go within and focus on, my inner development and whatnot. And I see this a lot in the acting community because, people are pursuing this dream and they are really like living paycheck to paycheck. And it doesn't, at the end of the day, bring them a lot of joy, and they're unable to really focus on the beauty of life because they're so caught up in trying to just like live and survive. And it's crazy because we live in Canada and we don't need to live in basic survival mode because we have all of these wonderful opportunities around us, but a lot of people still do. So, anyways, I wanted to touch on this because I do think it's important. Like, absolutely follow your dreams, but I think it's also important to make sure that you can support yourself so that you could really enjoy life as well. If your dream is a big dream, certainly follow it, but make sure you have, you lay out a plan and you don't in the meantime not allow yourself to live. Just wanted to
Absolutely.
point that out because I thought that was really cool. Do you have any thoughts on the adequate income and wealth building?
Yes, I think so. I think this is so important what you said. I think sometimes you feel that, I mean, there is a wrong kind of perception that, you know, uh, if you want to pursue a meaningful life, what is the need for money, this, that, but actually that's not true. You need actually the money
Mm,
because you need that financial, especially living in this modern world, you leave that income potential. And
mhm,
I strongly feel that these days with this electronic media and all kinds of activities, I strongly feel that we should be looking more at passive income rather than active income.
mhm,
And different multiple sources of income are also important at this day and age.
mhm,
Uh, uh, I think, but I think in my book, what I really focused on was the process of saving, the process of actually saving money, because this is
mhm.
something which is a lost art. you know
Yes.
there's no concept of savings anymore, but I think what it teaches you is respect for money,
Hmm.
and also the process of the saving. For example, say you have certain income, and there's a rule that you must save at least 20% of your income, or even 30% in some cases. You
Mhm,
must save 20% of your income. So now what you have to say is, okay, so I earn maybe $10,000 a month, for example,
mhm,
and you know that you have to live with $8,000, right?
mhm.
I think that may be too much, too much,
That sounds
maybe.
like a lot. That sounds
Right.
like a great paycheck.
So for, say $1,000. Let's start with $1,000.
Okay.
And you know that you have to live with $800 a month. You have got rent to pay or whatever, and cost of food, whatever. So you have to live with $800. So now you have to readjust your life to make sure that you do these savings,
Mhm,
20%. You must. And what it teaches you is to be more disciplined.
mhm,
And the idea is that also teaches you that money should not dictate your life. Even though you're trying to save money, but here what he's saying is that doesn't matter what happens in my life. I want to save 20% of
mhm,
what my income is. So this process of saving by itself is very powerful, and I strongly feel that it actually connects you with money in a completely different way. And you have more respect, and you have what do you call it, you don't waste money anymore. You just have every dollar that you want to spend, you're conscious about it. Your awareness of money goes up tremendously by doing this. So that's why I highly recommend this process of saving, and it automatically takes you to a different dimension.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And through saving, you're building up your wealth, and
Yes.
you're covering your basic survival need of needing to feel safe, and you're taking care of yourself in the long run, and that will in turn just make you feel proud of yourself, which will just inevitably raise your vibration, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Which is this is what this book is all about, is really about helping you get into that highest sunshine vibe joyful vibration. And that's such a great piece of advice. I love that part of this chapter. Okay, so the next I guess section of the chapter, the next topic that Bruin brings up is vibrant associations and partnerships. And I highlighted two pieces in this book. You said these partnerships that we have should be based on deep respect, trust, and true friendship, as if they are an extension of one's relationship with themselves. Love that. Learning from each other's experience is essential for your own development. During times of difficulty, your partners will back you and provide all the support you and your family needs. And then you go on to saying that what was it? The main reason for associations and partnerships is to foster a strong support group around you that will allow the furthering of the lifestyle that you truly want. And I know that we were talking about that we become, who we associate with. And right before we started the stream, Bruno and I were talking about that quote of, you are the average of the five people that you hang around. And it's just very important to be mindful of this and who you're surrounding yourself with. And how, if you're surrounding yourself with people whose ideas and values aren't in alignment with your goals and values and what you want out of life, then it may not be doing any good for you, right? So, Broom, thoughts on
Yes.
this?
Yes. I think life is too short to live with toxic people. I don't think you have to bear with this, because just life is too short. I can tell you this. And it's very important to have like-minded, not like, but doesn't have to be like-minded, to be good partners and friends. You just have to be with people who you want to dedicate your life for.
Mm-hmm.
I strongly feel that's very important. And I think it doesn't matter at work or family or friends, whoever you have. I think if you have small group of friends or people that you associate with, you partner with, you support each other like it's nobody's business. Like you really have to support them. Really have to help them, support them. I think this is where I feel I think there's a strong need for it at this day and age. This is
Mm-hmm.
completely missed out. For example, somebody needs any help, you should be able to just go and help them, kind of thing. So these kind of associations and partnerships are getting very important. Not just you have a workplace where you have work friends, and then you have other kinds of friends who goes to the pub with you, another kind of friend who does yoga with you, and then another family. There should not be all these segregations. I feel that there should be a group of people you associate with them all the time. So you are with them, you are supporting them. I feel that's the way to go to really have a meaningful and really joyful living.
Wow, I totally can understand this because that's actually something that's happened to me in the last couple of years. I
Mm.
used to be the type of person that had like many different groups. Like these were my acting friends, and these were my high school friends, and my university friends. And I kind of just had this separation. And then over the last few years, I just started wanting to manifest people that were all encompassing of all the things that I love and have similar goals to me. And now everyone that I give the most amount of my time to are really people that are very in alignment in many many ways with me. And I do feel like I'm truly supported within this group. So very cool. Yeah, and it's through having these um, associations with people that are very in alignment with you, that will help raise your frequency because they are very supportive and they're very loving, and you can trust them and whatnot. So um, yeah, so I really liked this topic in the book.
I think it's getting very important, and you don't have to, very choosy about friends. Friends, you just, I think there comes a time when you know that that person is going to be, good
Mm.
friend of yours. Sometimes we feel that we have to have certain friends, certain status or this and that, and that's actually the wrong way to go. You can have a friend, who could be in any professional life, any walks of life. So I think we have to be a little bit open because we can tell. I think we have the ability to know, who is going to be a good friend, and you don't have to be very, what do you call it? You have to do a lot. You don't have to do a lot of analysis to find out who is going to be a good friend. So no
Yeah.
judgment there, I guess.
Yeah, your inner guidance will know,
Yes,
and
exactly.
you kind of just have to follow it, certainly. Okay, awesome. So there's a part of the book that I want to move on to that I found so interesting. And it's a concept that is truly really big for me. And because I just, well, actually, I read it for the second time because when I read his book the first time, I think maybe I read it too fast and I didn't quite grasp it as when I was researching for this episode. And now I'm kind of mind blown. I was just talking to Bruin about it prior to streaming. So what I'm going to do is get Bruin, if you don't mind. I'm going to, tell everyone the topic, but I would love for you to just kind of dive in and explain what it means. So I want us to talk about infinitesimal moments. What does that mean? How does one live in infinitesimal moments? I think this is such an interesting, cool concept. Very, very hard for me to wrap my brain around and explain in an articulate way. So, Bryn, I'm just going to allow you to do that.
Okay, so this is a very interesting discussion, and we should not take it very lightly. Very, I think, very profound in a way because, see, physical time exists. Yesterday, today, tomorrow. If you want to do something physical time exists, but there's no psychological time.
Mm.
But somehow we have created psychological time in your mind, yesterday, today. And that's the reason why we have all this fear, stress, and depression, because we have this psychological. Now, why is this happening? Just let's understand a little bit. I call it the cycle of misery. Uh, for example, we have thoughts and emotions, which essentially come from the memory. And these thoughts and emotions leads to actions, which becomes our experience. And now this experience is registered in our memory. And because of the memory, we have thoughts and emotions, which leads to actions and experience. So this cycle keeps on going, keeps on going, keeps on going, which means that essentially, psychologically, we're creating time. And the problem with that is it is leading to all kinds of confusion, problems, conflicts, contradictions, because you're basing your life on memories, on past. Essentially, you're living a past life, but extended that to present and future. So everything that you're thinking is essentially a projection of your memory. So this cycle of misery is really problematic, and that's the reason why most people cannot be quiet. The mind is always busy, because it's always taking out stuff from our memory and projecting and creating this cycle. So the question is how to stop this. And people have tried all kinds of techniques. People have tried, this kind of meditation, that kind of meditation, breathing. And this is not going to go away unless we really understand the principles and basics behind it. So one of the main reasons for writing this book and this seven essential is all about, getting us there to really shatter this cycle of misery. Now, how does it happen? That's the question. Now, if you look into this cycle, any cycle, if you look into, whether it's gravitational force or any kind of, when there is a cycle, when there is a movement in cycle, it means there is a certain energy, which is called a centrifugal force, which is keeping us in that cycle, in that misery. And unless you break away from that, it is very difficult to really experience something different. So, so what happens is when you're connected with these seven different essentials, essentially you're trying to move your energy levels up and up and up and up. Your frequencies go up, your energy levels go up, and it goes up to a point where it actually helps to break that centrifugal force. So all of a sudden, that force is broken because you have elevated your energy in such a level. For example, when you're breathing, it has got certain amount of energy. When you go into deep breathing, certain amount of energy comes in. When you're getting the right kind of water, it gives you another kind of energy. When you're connecting with sun, the earth, another kind of energy comes in. When you eat your food, certain kind of energies come in. So all these energies are actually getting accumulated in your system, you know day after day, in a very cumulative way. And eventually it helps you to shatter that cycle of misery if you uh, give yourself enough time to do it. Now, so what happens when this cycle of misery stops? All of a sudden you'll realize that the unnecessary chattering of the mind goes away. That's the first thing you'll find out. And this is something that I highly recommend that everybody should experience this themselves by doing it. So the first thing happens is the chattering of the mind goes away. And then something amazing happens is that now you're connected to life like never before. So now you're actually connecting to life that makes, that is life in the real sense. See, all the activities that we do are actually, activities that we do for our life. For example, our profession, career, this, that. So those things are actually activities, but most people think they're actually life. But that's not life, that's actually just activities. Life is something when the mind quiets down, you enter that area, that moment, that state of being, which I call vibrant living, right? So in this state of being, there's no psychological time.
Mm.
So this is what I mentioned in my book, in that chapter, is that psychological time doesn't exist. For whatever reason, there's an illusion that you have created because of this trap that we have created for ourselves with this, call it cycle of misery. So once that's shattered, because you have got enough energy in your system, so now you're in a different state completely, in a state of being. So this is the start of meditation.
Hmm.
This is when the meditation starts. It's not that when you sit down for half an hour you meditate. No, that's just some activity you're doing. But once you get into that state, the uh, that's when the meditation actually begins at that stage. Very important to realize this. So here there's no psychological time. So this is what I actually meant in that chapter.
Right. And you were talking about how if we can train ourselves to start thinking in infinitesimal, I can't say it, infinitesimal, there we go, moments, as opposed to seeing everything in years, we will
Yeah.
live such a vibrant, beautiful life. We'll be
Yes.
living in the
So
moments.
exactly. So essentially, what it means is living in the moment. When you shatter
Mm-hmm.
that cycle of misery,
Mm-hmm.
essentially you're living in the moment.
Right.
And when you live in the moment, your chattering, unnecessary chattering of the mind stops
Right.
completely.
Absolutely.
So this is where what I mean. Because see, when I say this moment, you know, uh, and now we have created psychological time. So okay, this moment is maybe 2 seconds or 3 seconds, but actually it's not. You can keep on breaking, and it will be unlimited.
Mm.
So that's what I'm saying, is that essentially what it means is that there's no time, psychological time. So this is what it means, and this is something you can experience when you elevate your energy to a certain point, when the mind, unnecessary chattering of the mind, you still need the mind to do some physical work
Of
and a lot of other
course.
stuff, but not for psychological reasons. So this is where I feel there's no psychological time, and in that
Mm.
state of mind, the actual meditation begins.
Yes. And you're also saying in that sort of state is when we become immortal, because we are, there's just so much, there's like infinite moments, as opposed to living in
Yeah.
the years where it feels like we're mortal for sure. That's so cool and interesting. Okay, so from there you do go to talking about the awareness of the body. So is that sort of the next stage right after we're now living in infinitesimal moments, and we're living in the moment, we're aware, is the next stage that we become aware of our body before meditating, or is that just another topic within?
No, I think then the next step is more to understand that we are not physical. There are energy components of the body.
Okay.
I think typically our pattern is that we think in terms of physical, all the time is physical, but
Absolutely.
actually now it's time to make the transition from physical to energy. That's what
Mhm.
Einstein has been talking about, for a long time. So essentially, you make the transition into energy, because every form has got energy, and that's what I'm saying. That when you have the seven essentials coming onto you,
Mhm.
essentially you're not bringing physical air or water. Those are fine. Yes, there is a physical part to it. There's a form to it, but essentially you're bringing in energies, all different
Mhm.
kinds of energies. And what you're doing, physically, what you're doing is you're just echoing that. So there's a resonance, and when that resonance gets higher frequency, then all of a sudden you shatter that cycle. So so this is where I feel that now it's time to transition from thinking ourselves as just a physical being to more somebody someone who also has energy along with the physical component.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's move into meditating then and talking about that because I really want us to hone in on this because this is what we've been leading up to and all the other essentials and videos. So let's talk about how to meditate. That's been the number one thing that you have discussed in a lot of the videos that, there's a specific way and you wanted to discuss it in this episode. So
Yes.
let's jump into it. So how do you meditate, Brune?
Okay. So now let me explain you something here.
Mhm.
That if I give you any sugar, I know you don't like sugar, but can you describe the sweetness? Can you actually explain the sweetness? I mean, is there a way of explaining it?
Tastes
How?
good.
So it's very, yeah. So meditation is like that. I think everyone will probably have their own individual experience. This
Sure.
is something I strongly feel that we should all try to experience at least once. Because this is what is important, because it actually helps you to connect with life.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the door opens into various dimensions. Now, to really meditate, that's the reason why I don't like the idea of starting your meditation with chanting and trying to sit down for half an hour. I used to do that for 15, 20 years, and I realized that something is not right. Because unless we understand that there is a little cycle going on here with my memory and the thoughts, I can't stop my thought, unless I break this. To do that, you have to increase your energy level. So meditation begins with every essential that we have discussed so far.
Hmm.
For example, when you're breathing, first is breathing life, right? So essentially, when you're breathing, that by itself is meditation. The whole power of actually breathing in and out is actually meditation. Now, another, just to make it more exciting, I would say that Seven I is all about celebration of life every day, all day. So it doesn't matter what you do during the whole day, during your daily routine, every aspect of life is actually meditation. So let's just start with breathing. That's the reason why I say let's breathing life, because we know that if I don't breathe for a few minutes, I'll die. I'll just pass away, right? It is so important. Yet we focus on Facebook, which is, or something else, or some mundane stuff. We focus so much on mundane stuff, or stock market or something like that. We spend hours and hours. Whereas breathing, a few minutes, if you don't breathe, you will die. That's the immensity of breathing. So let's start with that, because breathing is so close to us. So when we breathe, as far as possible, try to see if you can actually be fully aware of your breath, day in, day out. When you walk out, uh, go for a walk in the morning, before you go to sleep, after you go to sleep. Sometimes you may forget, because that's the pattern we have built up. But the first thing is, let's start with breathing. It's so fundamental to our life.
Hmm.
And then after that, hydration, which is water. Now, whenever you connect with water, you completely connect with the water, because you are water. So, for example, when you're drinking water, or you're having a shower, or looking at any large, water bodies, for example, lake or ocean or something like that, just connect with the water. Today, actually, I saw the Ontario Lake. The waves were mind-boggling. It was windy,
Oh,
huge waves. My goodness,
so
that
windy
was,
today.
yeah. So look at the waves, and you can imagine, you can feel that they're actually part of you, uh, and it's water. So again, when you go out, when you're connecting with water, drinking water, so this another way of actually bringing and celebrate. When you drink water, for example, why can't we celebrate? For example, why do we have to wait for 1 year? For drinks, any festivals. So why can't we celebrate while you're drinking water, for example, or breathing?
Mm,
For example, you say, oh yeah, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe I should have a water celebration, drink some water and celebrate. So I think the celebration of water is actually quite important, because it is life giving. It is enhancing your life.
mm,
And then when it comes to cosmic energy, obviously, when you're in the sun, you just enjoy, soak yourself in the energy, put your feet on the ground or whenever you can. In the evenings, you go out in the moon, look at the moon, the stars, the planets. So it's a way of connecting with everything that's around us.
mm,
And then when it comes to eating, mindful eating. So whenever you eat the food, again, you're starting connecting, with the food. So your awareness, bring your awareness in every aspect of things that we do on a day-to-day basis.
mm,
And then when you do your activities, for example, you're working, it is complete engagement in what you're doing, in your professional work. And that by itself is meditation. And then what happens is, you try to learn some skills, completely immerse into it. When you have friendships, talking to somebody, just be immersed into it completely. So what I'm saying is that every essential that I discussed so far, it brings you close to unlimited potential.
mm,
So essentially, I'm saying that meditation can be all day long, connecting with things that actually matter and go completely deep in your awareness. So all I'm trying to do now is when I'm connecting with all these essentials, is slowly bringing my energy levels up and up and up and up and up and up. Some people say, your chakras are moving up and stuff, but actually it's all about energies that you're bringing from outside, you know
mm,
and then all of a sudden what you find that your body is strong, you're mentally alert, you're doing things well, you're connecting with people very well, and all of a sudden, you reach this threshold where you can actually break this pattern of cycle of misery, and all of a
mm.
sudden your brain becomes really quiet.
Wow.
you know have you noticed that whenever you're sick or not very well, the brain is the most agitated one? You feel really
Mm,
agitated whereas when you're fulfilled, when you actually feel very good, energized, your brain is quiet. For example, after you run, you go for running for 1 hour and come back, see how quiet your mind is. Have you noticed this?
absolutely. Yeah. And when you're traveling, this is something I talk about a lot because you're going to a new place, your brain is
Yeah,
quiet. You're just observing because
yeah,
you're present because you just don't know where the heck you are.
yeah. The body is completely energized. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people actually go and dip in freezing lakes or uh,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
yeah.
You
And
do that, right?
yes,
Sometimes?
I do that. I try to do that today, but the waves are too big,
Oh
just
gosh.
too big. So, but for example, when people have shower, they can use hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, which I describe in
Mm,
my book in the elimination of toxin.
yes.
And what I notice sometimes that, say if I get up in the morning, say if today I got up at 4:30, something like that, I feel lazy. I feel sometimes tired because I went to bed about 11:30, 12.
Oh
So
yeah. I mean, that's late.
yeah, so now you go for a shower, you're still lazy because you started with warm water, and then when you get into freezing cold water, all of a sudden your body is alert. What's going on there? It's just that, and mind is really, because I'm thinking about so many things when I'm having my, but as soon as you get into freezing cold shower, all of a sudden your mind is alert. So it means that when the body has the right kind of energies, your mind becomes very quiet,
Mm,
because your breathing becomes breathing slows down, and you become very alert. So I feel that all these seven essentials are actually driving us in that direction, so that our mind becomes quiet.
wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's very interesting because as you're talking, thinking about also in regards to my life and when I started feeling so much better and recovering from depression, that is actually an element that I never thought of. Yeah, my mind did go quiet. And yeah, that is why I felt better because my mind wasn't, agitated all the time anymore. And so interesting. Yeah, that's essentially, yeah, that is meditation. That is why people meditate, is to quiet the mind. Well, if you can do that with the right activities and with eating correctly and with, um, you know, doing deep breathing exercises and drinking, clean water and whatnot, and applying all these essentials, then you don't need to sit for half an hour to an hour twice a day and try to quiet your mind because your mind will already be quiet.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
It is, and you feel relaxed all day. You're not
Mm,
stressed out all day because you're so connected with what you're doing.
yeah.
Even though you may not like your job, doesn't matter. But because you're so connected with what you're doing, that by itself is rejuvenating, and actually you feel very energized.
Yeah.
So initially I thought, how is this possible? But actually, it does make you, because see, all these essentials, worst come worst, all these things are definitely make you healthier. All
For
the things,
sure.
if not calm your mind, definitely make you much healthier and enhance your life or living.
It's one of
So
those things though, until you really practice it and try to, hone in on each essential in your life, then you won't really understand fully of what we're talking about.
yeah,
If you haven't really tried to apply deep breathing exercises, drinking the correct water, eating right. What was the third one? Cosmic energy, and like
yeah.
really, being in one with nature. If you haven't tried to apply all these elements into your life, then you may not have experienced what it is to have a quiet, peaceful mind. And so it's one of those things, whereas, Brune's talking about it, and I agree, because I actually have had these experiences, but you, the viewer that's listening and watching, you have to try it for yourself and you will see what we're talking about.
It is. It's bringing awareness to every aspect of your life. And
Hmm.
one thing I would suggest, that why don't we have celebration of life? Every day, all day.
Hmm.
While going for a walk, it's basically celebrating. It's a big day of celebration. Where you go there and actually walking in the nature. It's beautiful. When you drink your water, it's a celebration. When you eat your food, you just make it a celebration.
I love that.
Every aspect of your life, just make it a celebration. Why can't we do this? So, and I think this is what is really missing. We feel that something else is important. Something else which I don't have is important, but what I already have is not important. I mean, this is the silliest thing you can ever imagine, and this is where I feel we miss out life completely. All life, we focus on activities and all kinds of stuff, and miss out life completely, which is the saddest thing ever.
Yeah. Well, thank the Lord for for you and for this book and for this series, because I truly think that this is something that everyone needs to hear right now, as people are glued in on the television and watching CNN and and not really living life and realizing that you can celebrate each moment and you can enjoy life, and there are ways to get you to this higher frequency. You kind of just have to explore them and push yourself a little bit and challenge yourself. And I love that you just said that. That is so fun, just to see life like that. Everything's a celebration. I love that. That's such an interesting idea and something that I want to now apply.
It is, and if you think about it, what is the flip side of doing this? It's no downside. It's only going to make you more healthier and more wiser, and it's only going to enhance your life anyway. If not getting into a deep meditation state, it will
Yeah.
make you enhance your life anyway. And you don't need all these psychedelics, drugs, and all kinds of stuff people are using to get to that
Mhm.
state. You just don't need that.
No.
You know, this is really quite depressing what I hear. So you just need the nature to help you, because you are part of the nature anyway. You're designed to be that way.
Yes, yes. Oh, so beautiful. I'm going to go and celebrate after this stream.
Yes, why not?
Celebrating right now. This is so
Yes.
fun.
Celebrate with a cup of tea, whatever. You know, this everything you can celebrate.
I am celebrating right now with my coffee in my unicorn cup. It says, "You are pure magic." So very in alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also celebrating, with,
There we go.
there you go.
Cheers.
So why not? Yeah, it's
Wow.
beautiful. So it's celebration. After you finish this podcast, you can celebrate, do something, maybe call a friend or whoever. If you're talking to somebody, just celebration, because you're interacting with a human being, a person, a life. And your cat down there, somewhere, it's a celebration. Go and hold, and, you know there's a life there, right? It's not
Yeah.
some little object, it's a life.
Yeah.
So don't you think, uh, that there is a moment of celebration, opportunity of
Absolutely.
celebration? I think we feel we're missing out. We think
Mhm.
some big thing is going to happen, and going to change my life. It's not like that.
No.
We're just missing out. So I think this is where I feel this book is going to help us in a big way.
Wow, what a beautiful way to end the 7-part series, even though we're not officially ending, guys. Don't forget, we're going to do a follow up next week. But man, that's such a beautiful note to finish this episode on. Celebrate life. How wonderful. I hope everyone that's watching this and listening in audio is going to go and celebrate everything right now. I'm
Yeah.
feeling so high vibrational from this talk. It's so wonderful, and this series has been so fun to do, and I've learned so much, and I'm truly so appreciative that you wanted to do this, Bruin. I think this is so great, and I've had so much great feedback, and people are really enjoying it. And you just have so much knowledge, and I hope that you continue to, you know, create content like this. And I know you were thinking about maybe starting a community, and you should absolutely do that because I know so many people would love to be
Yeah.
a part of that. But I think we should finish up this episode here. This is such a wonderful episode, such a great series. And I am so, so happy that we did this. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. Barun, do you have any final thoughts before we finish up this episode?
Yeah, just to reiterate, 7 Essentials is all about celebration of life every day, all day.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It is. So go and celebrate right now. Life is beautiful. Sending you all so much love, light, and sunshine vibes. I hope you go and live a vibrant life and celebrate. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Mwah.
Take care.
Bye, guys.